Happy Thursday night. It's Mark Bradley, and you've found the Mark Bradley Show, going on every Monday through Thursday night, and we'll be on usually later in the evenings. You can catch us, check for updates on Twitter and Facebook. Also, you can just search YouTube for the Mark Bradley Show, and you'll find us. Hey, today, got several news stories to look at. Carrie Prejean's back in the news. We've got a story about the GOP, and something for you sportsmen out there. But first, I want to recommend the new issue of Field and Stream is on newsstands now, and you could pick that up anytime you want. We've got an article that came out of there that I found quite interesting. Recession-proof firearms. We'll get to that later in the show. First off, out of Los Angeles, John Rogers of the AP has the update on Carrie Prejean and her saga. Currently, I'm quoting from the article, Miss California USA Carrie Prejean, who stirred up trouble for herself when she said gays shouldn't be allowed to marry, got two dreaded words from the pageant poobah Donald Trump on Wednesday. You're fired. Trump and the other pageant, and I got to try that again. You're fired. Now, I can't do Donald Trump, forget it. Anyway, as it continues, Trump and the other pageant leaders said Prejean was being sacked not because of remarks, but because she hadn't been holding up her end of the agreement she signed when she entered the pageant. Now, I just want to make one quick point, and this is something that bothers me. You'll hear it on your radio news at the top of every hour. You'll hear it on your TV news at night, and you read it in AP stories like this. Some of these stories stick to the facts. This one here, they paraphrase. When they say, and I quote, she said gays shouldn't be allowed to marry. You can look at all this. She's been well documented what she's been saying lately. She never said that. She clearly said, and I quote from her original statement at the pageant, I believe that marriage should be between a man and a woman. That's all she said. And she spent the first part of her statement saying that she was glad that individual states could decide what they wanted to do about gay marriage or not. So, people taking people's words and paraphrasing and taking them out of context drives me nuts because they'll always spin it and turn it one way. She never said gays shouldn't be allowed to marry, and that's just the facts. Let's stick to those, all right? Second story up here today. In USA Today, the previous story came out Monday, actually, and it's on the AP. You can find that. You can search the AP's website or search Google for Carrie Prejean. Out of USA Today, there was a story by Susan Page, and it read something like this. Republicans, out of power and divided over how to get back, are finding even the most basic questions hard to answer. Really? Okay. It goes on. Here's one. Who speaks for the GOP? The question flummoxes most Americans. A USA Today Gallup poll finds, which is among the reasons for the party's sagging state and uncertain direction, a 52% majority of those surveys couldn't come up with a name when asked to specify the main person who speaks for Republicans today. Of those who could, top response was radio talk show host Rush Limbaugh, 13%, that's all. Followed in order by former Vice President Dick Cheney, Arizona Senator John McCain, former presidential candidate, former House Speaker Newt Gingrich, and former President George W. Bush rounded out the group with 3% of people stating that he spoke for the Republican Party. Okay, folks, here, let's take a look at this. Isn't it a good thing when you have a lot of people out there explaining the ideals of a group rather than having one leader that everything goes to? Now, I realize that the Democrats will do anything to distract us from the ridiculous and insane spending that's going on in Washington right now. But hasn't this story run its course already? I couldn't believe this came back up. It's right in the USA Today stand, and right there on the front page. Who speaks for the GOP? Americans don't know. It's ridiculous. To Miss Page, I would suggest you get over it. The Republicans are gaining ground in the polls as far as approval rating in Congress goes, and as far as ability to handle the economy goes. check out the new, there was a new poll done recently. I'm going to have to look it up and let you know tomorrow. But I will. There was a new poll that I believe was done by Zogby Institute that found that Americans have shifted to a slight majority trusting Republicans to handle the economy as opposed to Democrats. So, listen, don't listen to everything you read in the newspaper. Some of this stuff is an old story that they're just trying to bring back to distract us from the more important things. Now, I promised that I'd tell you what Field & Stream had to say about recession-proof firearms, and one particular rifle that they listed several, and it's in the current issue that's on newsstands now. It's June's issue of Field & Stream. David E. Petzel wrote about a terrific, and I quote, "a terrific big game rifle at any cost. It has none of the hallmarks of a cheap gun, although there's not a single original idea in it. Marlin borrowed all the right ones." Now, maybe you didn't know Marlin made a big game rifle besides their lever actions. This is actually the Marlin XL7 bolt action synthetic stock rifle. It's a great looking rifle. They used it's really is a cross between a Savage Model 10 or Model 11 and like a Weatherby Vanguard. It has a bolt like a Weatherby Vanguard, safety like a Vanguard, and it's got something that it much resembles an AccuTrigger, a user adjustable trigger, so you could set that easily. Great looking little rifle, accurate. The tests have shown that it shoots quite nicely, easy to handle, light, good gun. Only $300 retail. That's a great price for a rifle. You can afford to put a decent scope on that one. And for a scope, I'd recommend going with a Burris. Great value, great value. Love Leopold's glass, but for the money, you can't beat a Burris. Thanks for watching once again. I want to give a big shout out to all my friends and family out there who enjoy this and who keep me doing it every day. We'll be back next week on Monday, so don't forget, we're on every day, Monday through Thursday. Find updates at Twitter and Facebook.com. Just search Mountain Man Mark. You'll find the Mark Bradley Show.